Shadow of the lamp. Masaoka Shiki. As I lie on my back in bed, staring at the ceiling in boredom, the grain of the ceiling boards looks like a human face. There is a knothole that looks like a human eye, and the grain of the wood around it mysteriously forms the outline of a face. The face is constantly bothering me, so I lie on my right side, and the cloud-shaped pattern on the sliding door looks like the face of a tengu. I find it annoying, so I try to erase the face in my mind, but a stain of water or something in the bottom corner of the sliding door also forms the outline of a profile. I have no choice but to try lying on my left side, and through the glass I can see the cedar forest of Ueno, and through the gaps in the forest I can see the sky beyond. The sky in the gap becomes a human face. It's a bit strange that the profile looks slightly upside down, just like a painting in a painting search. I turned over again, glaring at the corner of the ceiling where there was no face, and suddenly a huge, ridiculously large face appeared. It's the end of the year, and as usual, I'm busy this year, so even though I still have the 13th and 14th of the month to spare, I'm in bed sorting through the New Year's haiku that were sent to the newspaper. I read them, mark them, write them separately under each heading, pull the draft and throw it away. Then I move on to the next draft. I read them again, mark them, write 4 or 5 lines under the heading, Water Celebrations, pull the draft and throw it away. I'm repeating the same thing. The night is getting a little late and it's already quiet around me. I seem to have a slight fever, but since it happens every night, I'm working regardless. However, while I have a fever, I can't breathe easily, so I can't get any work done. Not only that, I'm lying on the futon, resting on my right elbow, holding the manuscript in my left hand, and when I write, I move the manuscript and bring it to the tip of the brush in my right hand, so even if I do it for an hour or two, my shoulders start to hurt. When I stay up all night, I can't easily reach out my right hand after I've finished working. Today, I've been writing non-stop since noon and I'm pretty tired, so I threw my brush aside, put my right elbow on the outside of the futon, rested my chin on my hand, and rested for a while. Feeling a little dizzy from the fever and fatigue, I opened my eyes wide and saw the shadow of the lamp by my bedside reflected on the other side of the glass screen. However, since the glass and the lamp are about 3 feet apart, the shadow of the fire sways and looks a little large. Just gazing at it makes me tear up. Then I see 2 lights. However, perhaps because of the scratches in the glass, the 2 lights are not separated but appear to be connected irregularly. As I was staring at the shadow of this large fire without any thought, a human face suddenly appeared in the fire. I looked and saw the round-eyed, curly face of a child, which is often seen in Western paintings. He suddenly changed into a gentleman wearing a tall hat. However, the top of the hat was not visible. I could not see anything from his neck down, but it looked like he was wearing a double-layered scarf. His face changed 3 times. This time it was the face of a girl of about 8 or 9, with her eyes completely downwards. A long rubber comb was attached to the hair at the edge of her forehead, holding it down. It changed a 4th time, and the face of an ogre appeared. This face resembled the ogre mask from the Ushimatsuri that I had received from Kyoto the other day. The time it took to change from one to the next was very fast, and unexpected faces appeared, so I got excited and began to think I would try to see how far it would change. I felt as if I was watching a show. After I thought that, the changes slowed down a little. Next came the face of a monkey. It then changed into the face of an old Western scholar or hero. The face was turned slightly to the side, and soft hair hung down to the shoulders. It was an extremely kind face, but I just thought I saw it, and could not tell who it was. After that, for a while, the fire just glowed and no shape appeared. As I continued to stare, a very bright spot appeared in the middle of the fire. It gradually grew larger. Finally, a large eyeball was formed. When it collapsed, I was unable to do anything for a while, and then a woman with a round top knot finally appeared. The woman's sideburns were sticking out on both sides because of the rays of light shining in all directions. The sideburns of the rays were white and sparse, so I thought she was a woman made of plaster. At first, the woman looked down and covered her eyes, but as she gradually opened her eyes and raised her face, her features gradually took on a terrifying appearance, and she finally changed into a Sanwa Kojin god with her hair standing on end. When the god of the wild beast disappeared, Jesus appeared. This appeared to be Jesus on the cross, with his head bowed and his eyes closed, but despite this, a round light was shining around his head. When Jesus raised his head and opened his eyes, it changed into the face of a warrior wearing a mask. As I looked closely at the warrior's face, I realized that it was not a mask, but rather that of a tuberculosis patient with a respirator hanging from his mouth. Next, it completely changed and the mask of the demonic demon appeared small. When that disappeared, a creepy face of a leper with swollen cheeks and bulging eyes appeared. To give an idea of the face, it looked like the face of the literary scholar Gibbon had been made out of candy and breathed into from the inside of the face to make it inflated. Suddenly, 3 flames appeared. As I waited for something to appear, the previous Jesus appeared again. Realizing that this wasn't going to do, I pulled my head back a little, and as my line of sight changed, the scratches on the glass also changed, so the shadow of the fire became something like a long, thin key. I was sure I would see a strange face this time, but perhaps because of the strange shape of the fire, nothing appeared. After a while, a little bit of something began to emerge. As it gradually became clearer, it seemed to be the profile of a person sleeping on their back. I had finally decided that it was that. Their eyes were quietly closed. Their face was somehow sunken and not the slightest bit lifeless. This was definitely the face of a dead person. I decided to stop the show here.